Today, oil prices are surging, American troops are dying, and the President of the United States just sat down with the Prime Minister of Israel to decide what happens next. Yesterday, Donald Trump met with Benjamin Netanyahu inside the Oval Office. They were not celebrating a victory, they were choosing between three paths forward in a war that has already lasted 5 months, cost American lives, and turned the Strait of Hormuz into a shooting gallery. An Israeli official who was in the room told reporters that Trump has three options: a negotiated deal, a continued blockade, or a massive military escalation. 2 weeks ago, Iranian ballistic missiles killed 2 American service members at a base in Jordan. On July 18th, Iran formally tore up the last diplomatic agreement meant to keep commercial shipping safe through the Hormuz. And yesterday, as Trump and Netanyahu shook hands for the cameras, global oil markets convulsed into one of the sharpest price spikes since the war began. This is not a story about strategy. It is a story about a trap. And today, we're going to walk through the three options on Trump's desk right now and why every single one of them is a disaster. To understand why every door is a bad one, you have to understand the room Trump is standing in. 5 months ago, the United States and Israel opened the largest bombing campaign on Iran's history. The goal was to crash Iran's nuclear program and force its regime to collapse. Iran did not collapse. It did what it has spent 40 years preparing to do. It escalated horizontally. Iranian missiles and drones hit US embassies and military bases in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, and Oman. By early July, Iranian forces were attacking commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The US responded with over 300 strikes in a single week. Then came the deaths in Jordan. Then the collapse of diplomacy. Then yesterday's meeting. And now Trump has to choose. Option 1, negotiate a deal. This is the option Trump himself might have preferred 5 months ago. He is, after all, the author of The Art of the Deal. But here's the problem. The United States and Iran already tried a version of this in early April. After Trump threatened to obliterate Iranian civilian infrastructure, the two sides reached a memorandum of understanding over the Strait of Hormuz. The US, through Iran, had agreed to guarantee safe passage for commercial ships. Iran thought it had won recognition of its right to control traffic and collect fees. It fell apart in less than 3 months. By July 7th, Iran was attacking ships again. By July 18th, Tehran formally suspended its commitments. So why would a deal work now? It wouldn't. Iran's strategy is clear: survive the bombardment, bleed the US and Israel through horizontal escalation, and wait for the political and economic cost to become unbearable. Any deal Trump signs now would look like surrender. It would leave Iran's regime intact, its missile forces largely operational, and its control over Hormuz unbroken. For a president who just buried Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the war's most vocal champions, at a funeral attended by Netanyahu himself, a diplomatic climb down would be politically devastating. Option 1 is a deal he can't sell. Option 2, keep the blockade, keep the sanctions, keep the slow motion air war. This is the stay the course option. And on paper, it makes sense. The US has overwhelming naval power. It can strangle Iran's oil exports. It can keep bombing military targets from the air. But here is what this option actually looks like in practice. It looks like playing whack-a-mole with Iranian missile and drone forces indefinitely. It looks like American bases across the Middle East living under constant threat of ballistic missile attack. It looks like oil prices spiking every time a drone gets through. Yesterday's meeting triggered exactly that kind of market panic. And critically, it looked like American casualties continuing to mount. We are no longer in the no casualty phase of this war. US troops have died, more will die. The Israeli official who briefed reporters admitted that Iran's clerical rulers have been rattled by inflation and public frustration. But here is the core truth. Regimes under existential threat do not fall because their people are suffering. They fall when their armies are destroyed or their leaders are dead. Everything else is just background noise to a government fighting for survival. Option 2 is a bleeding wound that never closes. Option 3, go big. This is the option Netanyahu's government quietly wants. Even if they won't say it out loud, it means a massive escalation, hitting Iran's civilian energy infrastructure, its bridges and dams, and above all, Pikaxim Mountain, deep underground nuclear facility Trump has repeatedly threatened to bomb. Trump could do it. His military has the bunker busters. He could claim victory. He could tweet that he destroyed Iran's nuclear program forever and come home. But here's what happens next. Iran has already proven it can absorb punishment and keep fighting. Its strategy does not depend on a single facility. It depends on thousands of mobile missile launches, drone swarms, and proxy forces spread across 4 countries. Wiping out Proxy Mountain does not wipe out Iran's ability to cross the Strait of Hormuz. It does not stop missiles from raining down on American bases, and it certainly does not install a friendly government in Tehran. In fact, the US and Israeli have already spent months trying to identify a viable successor to Supreme Leader Khamenei. They have killed so many potential moderate alternatives in decapitation strikes that the Venezuela model, decapitate the regime and install an insider, is no longer viable. Trump himself has admitted he has no one to hand power to. He even dismissed exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, saying somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. And then there is the ultimate escalation. Foreign policy's assessment is brutal but accurate. Sending US ground forces into Iran in pursuit of a decisive victory will be an even greater folly than air war. America spent 20 years in Afghanistan and Iraq trying to build nations at gunpoint. Iran is larger, more populous, more mountainous, and more nationally unified against foreign invasion than either of those countries. Option 3 is a bigger war with no exit strategy. So let's review. A deal looks like surrender and will not hold. A blockade bleeds Americans slowly and indefinitely. A massive strike escalates the war without winning it. This is a trap. Iran's leadership understood something from the start. They do not have to win militarily. They only have to make the war too expensive, too messy, and too open-ended for a democratic superpower to sustain. As one security scholar put it, Iran's goal is to withstand bombardment until the conflict becomes too costly for the United States and Israel to be willing to sustain. And it is working. Trump entered this war with the confidence of a man who has just intervened in Venezuela, captured Maduro, and installed a new government in days. Iran is not Venezuela. It is not a country you can decapitate and replace with a phone call. It is a hardened regional power with 40 years of revolutionary ideology, a massive missile arsenal, and a demonstrated willingness to burn everything down rather than submit. The tragedy of this moment is that none of this was unpredictable. The moment the first bombs fell on February 28th, the trajectory was set. Donald Trump has spent his political life promising that he would not get bogged down in Middle Eastern wars. He ran against the Iraq war, he mocked nation building, he pulled troops out of Syria and Afghanistan, and yet here he is, stuck between a deal he cannot make, a siege he cannot win, and an invasion he cannot contemplate. The Iran war does not have a good option left. It only has options that hurt less slowly, or options that hurt more quickly. And for the President of the United States, that is the definition of a nightmare. Tell us what you think about this war. What option does President Trump have? And also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.